Welcome to the Books and Music Show. Oh, did I say welcome to the Books and Music Show? So there's your disclaimer. It's the opinions and views expressed on this program do not reflect those of the management or staff of Staten Island Community Television. Of course, everything's copyrighted. I'm an artist, author, writer. I could say something else, but I'll leave it at this. Hey, was that 4 seconds? I don't know. I think that's enough. I think you got the idea now. Now I'll head off into the studio. Okay, so I hope I have levels out there, and oh goodness. Howdy! So to start off with, I'll tell you, what should I tell you? I should play music, right? No, oh, there's no music in that. Let's leave that for later. We'll start here. This is the books, oh wait, hold on. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so that's what I forgot. You have to have the email so you can write to us and tell us how to get this show going a little bit better. Actually, I kind of like the way it happens. Because what you see is what you get. We don't usually edit. You know, those lights are really bright. They must have got new lights or something. I'm here, and it'll be March soon. It is March. Sorry, it's March, and I have to read something I'd like you to know about. I was just going to hold this. It's not a mic, it's a speaker. Okay. It's March, and since Terry Sciavo, Terry Schindler Sciavo, or Terry Sciavo Schindler, died, was murdered in March, I'd like to just say a little bit about something about her. First of all, the Terry Schindler Sciavo Foundation was founded, and it's to help advocate for persons in danger of being killed by euthanasia. Is to promote legislation that will protect the rights of disabled people, and it's for a lot of other things, and to confront the culture of death in our society by establishing a grassroots volunteer network to help us speak out for those who are deliberately killing the disabled. So, Terry Schindler Sciavo. I'll tell you what, I saw the videos of Terry Schindler Sciavo at that time when they were about to kill her. And if you watched the videos and you saw them, you would have seen that she definitely knew what was happening. Her eyes were following her family members that were in the room. They actually followed. When her mom came in, she smiled and she was happy. Yet the publicity in the media and all that said that she was in a vegetative state. It's kind of odd because I had a family member recently who was kind of, I guess what they called in a coma. And every time the person would respond and the eyes would follow, I would go from all the way around this side of the room to that side of the room, and her eyes would follow me. And she responded in other ways, and she responded to music. And they kept saying, well, the doctors didn't see it. So I suspect maybe that's what happened with Sciavo. But I read the book. It was an excellent book. And that's not what happened with Sciavo, because they actually had doctors who were standing up for her and supporting her and defending her. But I guess something happened, and Terry Sciavo Schindler was murdered. I believe it was in March. So from the book, the name of the book, please get the book. It's called A Life That Matters. All lives matter. But the name of this book is A Life That Matters. We pray that Terry's foundation will save the life of other innocents. May our efforts build a society that holds every life sacred and worthy of our love and care. Terry's great sacrifice was not in vain. She touched the lives of millions of people throughout, and truly hers was a life that matters. Every life matters. If you want the information for the Terry Schindler Sciavo Foundation. Write to my email address, and I will give you any information you'd like about the Sciavo Foundation. There's also a website they have, which I'm not permitted to give on air. So next I have something here. Hopefully this battery will hold up. I would like to let you hear something, see if I can find it. Here it is. And March, well, let's see, next month, March, we have a few birthdays in the family, which is really cool. And March 1st. And last month we had birthdays in February. And I'm not going to say what day that was, but we've had birthdays all along, January, February, and now March. And in April, that was my brother's birthday. And so, because I have strong feelings about what happened and about the issues concerning about what happened, I would like to play a video that has absolutely nothing at all to do with him, but it has to do with freedom. It has to do with freedom and with our Constitution. And this is the best 7 minutes video on this topic that I've ever seen anywhere. And they actually labeled it that. It's kind of funny, the best 7 minutes. So I'm not going to let you see the video, but I'm going to let you hear something about it. And I hope that can be heard.
Now, we must turn to the issue of gun violence in America today. Because the latest mass shootings in Aurora, Colorado, and Newtown, Connecticut leave us all, liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat, appalled and disgusted at the carnage. Now, some people, and that includes many of you in this room tonight, want to place the blame for this horror on things like 30-round magazines or semi-automatic rifles. We want to blame something, anything that we can control. But what we really want to ban is violence and murder and insanity. Now, we don't talk about that, though, because deep in our hearts, each of us knows that violence and murder and insanity are built into the human condition and likely always will be. You know, there are two kinds of animals in this world, predators and prey. No one watches a leopard chase down a gazelle and denies that the gazelle has a right to use its hooves and horns to protect itself from the predator. But there are people in this room tonight and all across the country who would deny that same right to self-defense to other human beings. Such people seem to think that the way to stop the leopard is to cut the horns off of the gazelle, that by somehow making it easier for the predator will simply go away. My friends, this is insane. When you make it easier for the predator, you get more predators. So let's start with the so-called assault weapons, more properly known as semi-automatic rifles. In 2011, the total firearm murders came to 8,583, according to the FBI. Now, during that time, the total murders committed by rifles, all rifles, not just semi-automatic rifles, were 323. That's 3% of all murders. Hammers and clubs kill half again as many people as rifles. Hands and feet murder twice as many. And knives kill 5 times more Americans than all rifles combined. Preventable medical errors kill about 98,000 people per year. Medical malpractice kills more than 12 times as many people as are murdered in the U.S. each year. That's more than 300 times the number killed by all rifles, not just the so-called assault rifles. And yet, no one talks about limits on hammers or knives or doctors or hospitals. No one does that.
No one does that.
The good we perceive from hammers and knives and doctors far outweigh their perceived harm. And yet, studies show that firearms prevent anywhere from 800,000 to over 2 million violent crimes every year. The lowest
firearms prevent
100 times more violent crimes were prevented with firearms than the total murders committed with firearms. That's 100 times as many.
And that's amazing.
Now, in October of 2007, Amanda Collins was walking to her car after a night class at the University of Nevada at Reno. Amanda had a concealed carry permit for her 9mm Glock that she carried for self-defense. Unfortunately for Amanda, UNR is, like most college campuses, a gun-free zone. So, like the law-abiding citizen that she is, she did not have her gun with her in this gun-free zone when she was attacked by James Bila.
The good guys can't have guns.
Raped her on the UNR campus, less than 300 yards from the campus police office. He then walked away, and a few months later, this human predator went on to murder 19-year-old Breonna Dennison. Amanda Collins went on to say, quote, "I know, having been the first victim, that Breonna Dennison would still be alive had I been able to defend myself that night," unquote. Therefore, I am directing the virtual Attorney General to aggressively challenge any gun control laws that violate Amanda Collins' right not to be raped and Breonna Dennison's right not to be murdered. You're not forced to abandon your First Amendment right when you enter Chicago or New York, or your Fifth Amendment rights when you walk onto a college campus. As virtual president, I will veto on the spot, without hesitation, but with a great deal of pleasure, any and all attempts to destroy any of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States of America. Because when it's all said and done, the Second Amendment to the Constitution is not there to protect us against criminals and the people calling for gun control know this. That's why they want gun control instead of crime control. That's why they want laws that, at the stroke of a pen, turn law-abiding citizens into criminals. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from tyranny. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from politicians. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from us. Now, some politicians claim America deserves a vote on this issue. Okay, let's have a vote. Those of you advocating infringement on the right of the people to keep and bear arms need to go to the American people with the 28th Amendment, which would simply read, "The Second Amendment to the Constitution is hereby repealed." That would, for the first time, give you the legal authority to do what you have been doing and what you are trying to do now in direct violation of your oath of office to defend the entire Constitution of the United States, not just the parts you happen to approve of. So go ahead, go to the American people and tell them that ultimate power is no longer to be vested in the people who can't be trusted with that power, according to you. Tell them only the government can have that power now. You go out there and try to convince the people of the 38 states that you're going to need to get that amendment passed to agree with your opinion of them versus their opinion of you. I dare you. 12 million unarmed men, women, and children were unable to resist being murdered by their own National Socialist government in Germany. Perhaps 50 million unarmed men, women, and children were murdered by their own Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. 50 million Chinese murdered by their own government under Mao, who also disarmed his people. And in Cuba, and in Vietnam, and in the killing fields of Cambodia. Now you say that can't happen here? You say we're protected? By what? By the Constitution that you're in the process of destroying? You are in violation of your oaths of office by so much as introducing this legislation, let alone passing it. My fellow Americans, the previous inhabitants of this chamber watched as 100 million people were murdered after being disarmed by their own governments. Every single one of those men, women, and children were as real and precious and irreplaceable as the children at Newtown. And I tell you here and now that I will be damned if I will let that happen to the American people.
Well, that was what someone else had to say about the issue of gun control. And I think I did move the mic a little bit, so potluck. Maybe I'll get the other mic and speak in there. I'm going off air a little bit, but stay right there because we'll still be on air. We'll still be on air. Now, you can't see me, but you know what? One of the most important things in my whole life has been not what I look like, because I don't look all that great, but has been what I have to say. You're looking at an empty room. I've been producing shows since, just in this city alone, since 2010. And in another city, if you count all the years together, this will be about probably my 17th year producing shows. I have produced thousands of shows, both in the studio and out of the studio, in the field, and throughout some of the United States. So what's important is not what's on the screen. As you see, there's a blank screen. What's important is what I have to say. If we disarm the American citizens, Well, think about it. Think about the murderers and the criminals who are now sitting in jail, or the ones who've escaped, the fugitives, the ones on the run, the ones who've been hiding. Think about the people who commit crimes who use guns, who use illegal guns. If they were going to tell their friends to vote for something, they'd vote for gun control, right? Because think about it. If you're going to go into a bank to hold up a bank, the thing that you really want to know is that nobody in the bank has a gun. If you're going to go into a school to shoot up a school, if you're a criminal or somebody who's just bent on doing that, you're going to want to know that nobody in the school has a gun. You're going to want more and more gun control if you're a criminal or if you want to use illegal guns. Because, see, gun control laws don't really affect illegal guns. Gun control laws don't really affect criminals or fugitives or murderers or rapists or any of the other people who just plainly don't pay attention to the law. Well, you heard what the guy says. Oh, I guess I should put something else on the screen. There you go. You're watching the Books and Music Review Show. And you should know that. Most times when you see an empty screen, it's the Books and Music Review Show. No, but then we have some really good guests and really good specialists on the show. So let me rephrase that. When you see an empty screen, it's usually that I'm doing the show and I'm the host for the day. So you see an empty screen. So maybe I'll go back inside and let you see who this big voice is. Hold on. Oh, I guess I should stand over there, huh? I'm on screen. There you go. I don't have to. This is good. That's good? Okay, so I'm going to talk loud. Our show airs usually on Saturdays, Channel 34, Verizon, and Spectrum, which used to be Time Warner. But check this out. If you don't see us here, we're on like 5 websites and we've got a few hundred blogs. And no, I'm kidding. Not 100. A couple of blogs, a couple of websites. I've probably got 2,000 photographs on my own art sites. I'm on Flickr. I'm on Twitter. I'm on some other website, which is a secret, and you'll never get to know unless you send me an email. So, oh yeah. I'm blabbing because I sound like I don't know what I'm saying, because I have a lot to say on very important topics, on very serious topics, but I refrain from saying them, so today's show wasn't as controversial as it could have been. Do I dare go to the controversial part of the show? I'm a Christian, and I'm not afraid of dying. It is not death I'm afraid of. When my cousin was in the hospital, was in a coma, that's when the real fears come. So I thought, oh my God, it's not death I'm afraid of, it's maybe the way you die. I thought, oh my God, if that was me, I'd be like, do not let my mother anywhere near me, please. And you know how the hospital is, like they let your family in. It's like next to kin and all. And I have to be honest with you. This is the controversial part. If I'm ever in the hospital, if anything ever happens to me, please, please, I beg you, I beg you, I beg you, do not let my mother near me. Do not let her in, do not let her visit, do not let her on the floor. And if you see her coming from the room, please check me very thoroughly. And that's something I can say. I'm allowed to say that because I'm telling you how I feel about death and about life and about illness and about sickness. And all those thoughts came to mind as my cousin was in a coma. It's all right, my cousin was protected. And as everybody goes in their own time, only when it's their time. She maybe was meant to go. She died in August. She did not die from a gun. It was not an assault weapon that killed her. My father did not die from a gun. It was not an assault weapon that killed him. My uncle did not die from a gun. It was not an assault weapon that killed him. Terry Sciavo Schindler did not die from a gun. It was not an assault weapon that killed her. It wasn't. Think about your own family. Just think of your own family, all of your in-laws, and all of your relatives. And think about any deaths that you've had in your family. And get a piece of paper here and put gun on top of that piece of paper. And get another piece of paper and put not by gun. And write down the names of the people in your family who died through a gun. Now get a third piece of paper and write down assault weapons. I'm not laughing at the topic. I'm laughing at the irony that the whole country is so up in arms over assault weapons, which do not kill most of the people in our country. No, not by a gun. Not my uncle, not my aunt, not my cousin, not my father. They did not die from a gun. Yes, my brother died from a gun. But here's the thing, not to worry. You're so afraid that some stranger and some mugger and someone's going to come and shoot you with a gun that you want to ban all guns and make guns illegal and take them out of the hands of citizens. Not to worry. My brother died from a gun. A majority of the deaths that are by gun are from suicide. That's the truth. But you want to know something? If a person wants to kill himself, he's going to get whatever means he's got, and he's going to do it. So gun control isn't going to stop suicide either, because my brother died from a totally legal gun. And if they checked his background, which they did, he was a very reputable, upstanding citizen who even passed the bar and was a lawyer. Had a lot of money and a nice house. He died by a gun, but not by an assault weapon. So I think it really gets to me when something like Newtown happens, and I cry for them. Children shouldn't be killed by guns. But see, the real problem is that the media and the major news outlets are using the deaths that happen after a tragedy. They're just using these people and using the victims to advance their agenda of let's disarm the people in America. The media is playing on your sympathy every time there's a mass shooting, but they're not giving you all the facts. They're not telling you that your family members probably will never die from a gun. And apologies to a dear friend of mine whose family member did die from a gun. But again, not from an assault weapon. So all you people that are running around like crazy with your hands up in the air and flapping around like chickens and yelling that we have to get rid of assault weapons, are you ready to ban hammers and saws and everything else that the majority of the people are killed by? Not by assault weapons? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to ban socks? I sat somewhere one day and heard that a lady was killed with a sock. Are you going to ban socks? No, because the media doesn't have an agenda for socks. They all wear socks, and they never want to see them banned. So you won't hear that. Probably more people die with knives than they do with, assault weapons. Oh, so I'm not going to tell you whether I'm pro-gun control or not gun control. All I was telling you is how I feel about things. I personally don't like to have guns in the house. I don't own a gun and I don't want a gun. But I don't want to see Americans have more gun control. And I don't want to see the media continue to use the lives of those victims and continue to see the mainstream media use the lives of children that are killed with an assault weapon for their agenda of banning guns, you know, it's not going to change things. Because what's really killing people is bullies. See, what's really killing everybody is bullies. A child can go their whole life with a mother who's a bully, and then one day just not be able to stand it anymore. And that death will be more permanent than any death that's been done by an assault weapon, because you're supposed to be protected by your mother. My brother died in April. My mistake. Scratch that. If we edited, I would take that part out because he didn't die in April. His birthday in April. His birthday is in April. He died in January, my birthday month. But he didn't die from a gun. Yeah, contradicting myself. He didn't die from a gun. You see, he didn't die from a gun. He died because he had no hope. He could not find the hope in his life. And that is really what killed him. So if you want to see less deaths and less tragedy in America, try this. Instead of like digging in the pits and trying to find all the guns and the assault weapons and going all through the United States to gather them all and take them out of the hands of law-abiding citizens, try this. Try teaching kids respect in the young ages. Try looking at kids and say, how can I help you? What's really going on? How can I help you? Try promoting hope. Try promoting peace. And when you go online, instead of calling people names and bullying people, try being nice. Try being kind. It is one word that can save a life. Just one single word. You can change a person's day and you can save a life. Which all comes around to, like, probably everything I said probably pissed people off, right? Excuse me. But I like to talk now that I'm able to talk. I'm able to talk, and nobody can tell me to be quiet. So I talk. And I was going to do a show about bullies, but I don't know. I listened to that tape, and I just... Truth is, I was going to do a show for my favorite magazine, Reader's Digest. But I got sidetracked by that little tape about gun control. The truth is, a week ago, and 3 days ago, and 4 days ago, and 5 days ago, I was going to do a show about Terry Sciavo Schindler and how they murdered her right in her hospital bed, and how people cry and there are tears being shed because they keep going after the assault weapons, and you'll probably never, never be killed by an assault weapon. But you've got a very good chance of being killed if you wind up in a hospital and you're disabled. My aunt, my uncle, they weren't killed by guns. My voice wasn't taken away from me at gunpoint. The person bullied me for decades. She didn't have a gun. She didn't own a gun. There are harsher weapons. There are much more serious weapons than assault weapons. But you wouldn't know that because you're not experienced. Watch the show on Saturdays. Channel 34, Spectrum and Verizon, if they dare put another episode on again.